Believe it or not, graphics card prices are actually coming down in May 2026. But should you be buying now or should you be waiting? Welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. We're going to take a look at the best graphics cards to buy at every budget level in May 2026. We'll take a look at current GPU prices. We'll take a look at price to performance for both new and used GPUs, along with when can we expect next generation GPUs from NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like, of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. Let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by Opera. Is your browser out of control? Tons of open tabs, can't find or do anything? You need to try Opera. Opera's tab islands group all my parts research, retailer pages, and review tabs into separate clusters to stay organized. You can easily name, color tabs, and expand and collapse them. With Opera's Google Services sidebar, I can pull Gmail, Calendar, or Translate right on the side without opening a bunch of extra tabs. Super productive. And with Player, I can keep my music going while I work, detach it from the sidebar, and control it without interrupting what I'm doing. And Opera's themes let you customize your browser to your vibe. Maybe cleaner, maybe darker, more animated, you can make it your own. See the Orbit theme and feel that experience. If you want a customizable browser that keeps you organized for the way you actually use your PC, check out Opera at the link in the video description. Let's start off with GPU game bundles in May. Now, AMD's Crimson Desert game bundle expired and Intel's game bundles have expired. I'll leave a pinned comment, a note down there if they do have a new one. Right now, it's only NVIDIA with a brand new Pragmata game bundle for a purchase of an RTX 5070 or higher, either laptop or desktop GPU. The end date on this right now is May 12, 2026. They often extend these if they're really popular. And note that it needs to be in your cart at the time of checkout from a participating retailer. If you're interested in terms of the game itself, first of all, it's got a cat in it, so it's got to be awesome, right? But it is overwhelmingly positive rated right now, 9,000 plus Steam ratings, and it's a $60 value. All right, jumping into AMD Radeon GPU prices for May 2026. You can see the RX 9070 XT has come down in price yet again to $699. That is a welcome change from $729 in March, $719 in April. So we're basically losing like $10 to $20 a month. That does feel like some progress, if not a ton of progress. You can pick up a model right now. This is the XFX Quicksilver model. It's actually a pretty nice one with a $90 promo code. This basically makes this one $699. Newegg in the US has taken to doing this thing that's a little bit annoying. Well, this is great. You're like, oh, hey, this one comes with a B tier rated 750 watt PSU down here at the bottom. You can click this special discount available. You punch in your email address, and then once you log into your Newegg account, you get a discount that looks something like this, basically. Well, look at that. You get this one $699 and you get a 750 watt PSU with it as well. So keep your eye out for deals like that because that doesn't quite take it to MSRP, but goes a long way towards reducing that price. Then we've got the RX 9070 16 gigabyte. Basically, the price is stagnant, $619. We have seen some flash sales down to $599. I don't put flash sales in. I just put consistent pricing in. So $619 right now over at Amazon, or you could go over to Newegg. You could either pick up the XFX Swift one for $619 right here, or you can get one with a 750 watt PSU. Again, check out those deals and I'll link them down in the video description. And then finally, we've got the 9060 XT 16 gigabyte and 8 gigabyte. Fortunately, the 16 gigabyte one, that's a little bit of a price increase there. It's about $10 and a slight decrease on the 8 gigabyte version. So right now you can either go over to Newegg and pick up the Challenger version for $448, but frankly, cough, cough, ASRock, I would not buy your GPU for that. I'd get the Sapphire Pulse for $1 more, or I'd get the 3-fan XFX Swift model with a really nice one for $449 as well. But overall, most of the GPU prices at least headed in the right direction. All right, moving over to NVIDIA GPU prices for May 2026. And what is going on here? Is that actual green on the board? Prices are actually coming down, or at least they're not increasing? What in the heck is going on here? Let's jump into the RTX 5090, which I know is insanely priced, but the good news is if you are somebody who for some reason has not yet picked up your 5090 when it was a lot cheaper, you can get it for $100 cheaper than it was last month. And in fact, there's 3 models right now that you can pick up, anywhere from the Gigabyte Gaming OC to the Ventus to the Zotac Solid White one right now. $3,700. What a steal. Woohoo. But the good news is cards like the RTX 5080 are coming down in price. $1,289. We've consistently had models pop in there, then vanish. They are holding their own now, and it does seem like that price is starting to actually budge. Right now, you can get the PNY one over at Best Buy for $1,289. Yes, I know this should be an MSRP model at $999. We all know because RAM is costing more, the GPUs are costing more, but is it costing $289 more? I don't think so. You don't think so. Although you do get the free pragmatic game with this one. But if you jump over to Newegg, you can also see $1,299, $1,329. All these were like $1,400 last month. So that's actually a pretty decent sign. Then we got the RTX 5070 Ti. Now the 5070 Ti is budging piece by piece. Every now and then we'll get one at $899 and it'll basically sell out within a couple hours of me posting it. $979 has been about the best consistent price that we've been able to find for it. Right now that's over at Best Buy for $979, and yes, you do get the free pragmatic game with it. However, consider over at Newegg, you can also get an A-tier rated 750 watt PSU with a lot of the MSI ones like the MSI Ventus, either the silver one or the black one. Moving down to the RTX 5070, no change in terms of the pricing. However, I will say I'm seeing a lot of additional models now available between $630 and $660. And when you see that, you often see some of the lower price models start to go even a little bit lower. And some of the MSI models, by the way, you also get the Death Stranding 2 on the beach game in addition to the pragmatic game. The RTX 5060 Ti, while on the one hand it's 10% lower, it actually was even cheaper than that. We had 3 or 4 different models go on sale for as little as $479. I know I say as little as this, the MSRP is $429, but as little as $479, that is the cheapest we've seen that in a while. But bad news here, there's only 2 models left that are basically at $514 right now. The rest of them get really, really expensive. They jump up to about $560 pretty quickly. And then we did see some price decreases for like the RTX 5060, $20, the 5050, the 3050 are basically unchanged. All right, moving over to Intel GPU pricing, really no big changes, except I want to point something out because I'm a little bit concerned about Intel Arc GPUs, and that is, how many GPUs do you actually see here? If you get rid of the combo deals, I only see the Arc B570 one model, that is the ASRock Challenger model. Gone are all the additional models that used to be available. And then in terms of the Arc B580, Onyx only has one model, it's the white one right now. The black one doesn't even appear anywhere on their site anymore. And then ASRock's got one as well at $309. You do get a 240mm all-in-one liquid cooler with it, but that's it. That is essentially it. And I'm gonna go into the news item in just a moment. I'm just not quite sure about where Intel is going with its GPUs if it can't maintain supply. So when you're buying a new graphics card, you want to know, is this GPU going to be current generation, or are the next generation GPUs right around the corner that you should be waiting for instead? All we have right now are leaks and rumors about the upcoming series, the RTX 5000 Super series that was going to be the super refresh we were expecting to get at the beginning of this year, adding more VRAM to NVIDIA GPUs that are already on the shelves. Then we've got the RTX 6000 series graphics cards that's going to be the next generation of cards we would normally expect in 2027, 2 years after the launch in 2025 of the 50 series. And then we'd also expect RDNA 5 graphics cards from AMD Radeon, again, about 2 years after their launch in 2025, so 2027, and then Intel's Celestial next generation graphics cards. So we don't have anything confirmed, except we know we didn't get the RTX 50 Super series out there, but leaks and rumors paint a poor picture if you're waiting for next generation graphics cards, leaning to maybe you should be buying now, because it looks like, at least according to these leaks and rumors, the 50 Super series is not going to happen at all. The 60 series is going to be pushed back to 2028. That would be a 3-year time delay between the 50 series and the 60 series. That would be the longest that we've ever seen. And then in terms of AMD Radeon, similarly, we've got leaks from Kepler, who is a big leaker. They're saying mid-2027, so that still seems like it'd be on a 2-year cadence, but you're still talking about possibly up to 18 months from today. And then in terms of Intel and their Celestial GPUs, this just recently came out. Now, it has long been rumored that Intel would not do dedicated gaming graphics cards in its C series, that's Celestial. It looks like that is definitely confirmed at this point. We have basically them skipping the Xe3P Arc Celestial dedicated graphics cards. Possibly they're going to do it for the next generation, but it's all up in the air at this point. Let's jump into the best graphics cards to buy in May 2026, both new and used. If you're not familiar with how we do this, we basically have a giant spreadsheet here. You can find this link down in the video description. And I have now updated this to include all the used prices. So yes, we've got new and used on this. We've got the upscaler on this. We've got how much VRAM they have. 1080p, 1440p, and 4K FPS estimates, as well as best pricing, either new or used, and then a 1440p price to performance. So that's price to performance for 1440p FPS. So you can jump into this and check it out. All right, let's jump into the best GPU under $200 in May 2026. We're looking for cards with 8 gigabytes or more of VRAM. We want them to be currently supported through driver updates. And on top of that, we will consider things like the upscaler. But let's take a look at what we've got right now. If you've got closer to $100, so basically the best GPU for $100, if you're stuck at $100, the RX 5500 XT will get you playable performance at 1080p. Unfortunately, the upscaler you're going to use is FSR 3.1, which is not good at 1080p, not fantastic at 1440p. It's really more of a 4K upscaler, and that's not really a 4K card. But if you need something to get you started and you don't mind turning settings down to medium, that's one avenue that you could go down. If you have a little bit more money, you could consider the 5700, again, stuck with FSR 3.1 on there. But I would really be looking to spend close to $160 to maybe $180, pick up a 2070, a 2070 Super, or 2080 Super, one of those GPUs that has DLSS 4 on it, so you get the latest upscaler out there. DLSS 4 is very, very good and gets really good performance. You do pretty well in terms of price to performance there. Under $3 per frame is not bad. All right, let's jump into the best GPU under $300 US in May 2026. I've actually bumped it up to $350 so we can see all the GPUs here. None of them are fantastic. I'm just going to warn you from the outset. I would recommend you spend $450-ish on your GPU and get something that's going to last for quite a while. But if you're hard stuck around $300, here's what I would get. I would probably pick up the 9060 XT 8 gigabyte. If you are somebody with an older CPU, like a 9700K, that's PCIe Gen 3 in particular, because it uses all 16 lanes of the PCIe connector, it has lower CPU overhead than either Intel or NVIDIA GPUs. You're just going to get more performance out of that GPU, likely, and it's got a good upscaler on FSR 4.1. If you're somebody with like a Ryzen 5600 or later CPU, you could consider the Arc B580. It's got 12 gigs of VRAM. It's not fast enough to always use 12 gigs of VRAM. At 1440p, you may have to turn that down to medium settings anyway, and then what's the extra VRAM for? So it's kind of a, damned if you do, damned if you don't. The 5060 is another okay alternative. It's $20 cheaper. It's about as fast as the 9060 XT, but you are cut down to only 8 PCIe lanes, and if you are on an older CPU, that might hamper you. All right, let's jump into the best 1440p GPU under $500 in May 2026, and we are looking at both new and used graphics cards. Note that I have adjusted the price to performance of the used ones with a 40% discount premium. That's because new cards come with a warranty. They're brand new. They've never been used before. They're going to be supported, especially if they're current generation, longer than older generation GPUs. So those are things that give advantage to new cards that we don't always take into account just based on raw price. So I've got that adjusted price to performance. If you jump into the spreadsheet, by the way, you can change this right now. If I've got 40%, you can put 30%, you can put in 0% if you want to, and then it'll basically just be the same price to performance, which you can see in the second column. Let's jump into what would I buy right now. I think the 9060 XT 16 gigabyte makes more sense than anything else here, especially when we look at that adjusted price to performance. It basically destroys even the used GPUs right now, and used prices have gone up too, and they're not coming down as fast right now as the new ones are. So the 9060 XT 16 gigabyte, despite the fact it's a slower graphics card, it's brand new. You're going to get a warranty with it. It's got FSR 4.1 in terms of the upscaler. I like a lot of things about it. The Arc B580 has some of the same challenges that we've already talked about. It's kind of not fast enough. It's just barely fast enough. It's got 12 gigs of VRAM, but it's $289. If you're somebody who's like, Jason, I don't care about the used versus new, I would target especially like the 6700, 6750 XT for $250, especially if you don't care about the upscaler. That might be a way to go in that $250 price point. If you're like, Jason, I absolutely have to have NVIDIA, I did cheat. I put in $514, slightly over the cap. The 5060 Ti, just so you can see where it lands, even with the adjusted price to performance, it doesn't stack up that well against the 3080 12 gigabyte. That's an option for a lot of you out there. By the way, don't get the 3080 10 gigabyte, get the 3080 12 gigabyte. And there's also a 3080 Ti 12 gigabyte, but for some reason people want like $100 more because it's got the Ti, even though they are basically the same GPU and they're just equally as fast. Get the 3080 12 gigabyte. All right, let's jump in the best 240 hertz 1440p graphics cards in May 2026. So we're looking for 12 gigabytes or more of VRAM, and we're looking for at least 100 average FPS or higher on our 1440p FPS. And we're looking at both new and used GPUs. Once again, I am using a 40% discount premium for used cards because you get a warranty with a new card, it's never been used, and it's likely going to be supported longer than that used card is. So we're just taking that into account with the adjusted price to performance. If you don't want to take that into account, look at the 1440p price to performance. That's the raw price to performance. What would I get here? 9070, 9070 XT are excellent values. Excellent values right now, even stacking up against the used GPUs because the price is coming down and they have FSR 4.1 upscalers and they are really good overall performers. Honestly, if you're going to spend $620, I probably would find an extra 80 bucks and just go ahead and get the 9070 XT, even though it doesn't make quite as much sense in terms of price to performance. Just eke out a little bit more performance there. But I would certainly understand if you're like, Jason, $600 is already a lot of money for me. I'm just going to go with the 9070. One thing that does surprise me, the 5070, actually better in terms of price to performance than I would have guessed at $629. Especially right now, you do get the pragmatic game. So that kind of weighs in favor of the 5070 a little bit, although the 12 gigs of VRAM is kind of the sticking point for me. I just don't feel like it's going to get as much useful life in the future, but it's entirely possible that none of these cards are going to be fast enough to get everything you need out of 16 gigs of VRAM when 1440p games require that sometime in the near future. So 5070 at 12 gigs might be just fine. The rest of the cards on here, I mean, obviously the 5070 Ti, it's just way too overpriced. And I don't really see a lot of the used values out there. In fact, I would consider the used market at the higher end massively overpriced right now. All right, let's look at the best 4K graphics cards you can buy in May 2026, both new and used. Again, we are using a 40% adjusted price to performance for the used cards to bring them in line with new cards because they have warranties and things like that. Honestly, if you're looking under $1,000 right now, what's the best GPU under $1,000? I got to tell you, the 9070, 9070 XT, even on 4K, pretty good. You got FSR 4.1, they're really good upscalers. It's really tough to beat the 9070 XT for $699. Why would you spend almost $300 more on an RTX 5070 Ti? It just seems a little bit bonkers. DLSS 4.5, really the same as FSR 4, especially at 4K. It's just tough to justify from a price to performance standpoint. I guess you could consider the 5080 in there if you want to spend more money and get more performance. Not talking about price to performance anymore, just looking at raw performance. Yeah, the 5080 probably should be considered because the next step up, especially in terms of a new card, is what? The RTX 5090. I don't have the 4090 in here. It was such a bad value. I just picked the top 5 used values. It's actually like 9th or 10th. In terms of used values out there, so I just got rid of it, but it's not good either because you're spending about $2,300 right now on a 4090. The 5090 is $3,700. It's insane in terms of its price to performance, but those cards are always bad in terms of price to performance. It is the fastest GPU right now, so if you're somebody with the money for it, Jason, I don't care. I just want the fastest. You didn't need to watch this video, by the way. You could just go out and buy an RTX 5090, and that is the one I would pick up if you've got all the monies right now. Let's Play One's favorite game. Should you buy now or should you wait? Well, honestly, I saw a comment on one of my recent videos saying, this guy just publishes videos that say you should buy now. I mean, look, if you've got a good argument for waiting, let me know what that is, because right now, if you're waiting, what are we waiting for? Are we waiting for the 60 series? That's likely in 2028. That's a long time to wait. If you're waiting for the Radeon 5 GPUs, still about a year to year and a half away. And then, of course, if those are the only new GPUs coming out and NVIDIA continues to have a delay on the gaming side, what do you think is going to happen to those GPUs? They're going to sell out instantaneously. It's going to be impossible to get one. Prices are going to be well above MSRP anyway. Intel's not coming to our rescue. So really what is on the market right now is what we've got. And the only question is, will pricing get any better given the current market dynamics? Will NVIDIA or AMD be able to kind of catch up? Will RAM prices continue to go down to the point where they're actually going to reduce their GPU prices? It's tough to say that. What are you going to save? Maybe $30 or $40? Because even if these cards get down to MSRP, look at the bundles that are being offered right now for like a 9070 XT with a pretty decent PSU for like, $30 over MSRP. Are we really going to wait around for 30 bucks? I'd grab that deal right now. That would be my advice. Again, if you think you should wait, Let me know down in the comments. What should you be waiting for? What are you telling people to wait for? Especially those who don't have a graphics card right now. What are they supposed to do? I just don't think with the way things are going in the world that the pricing is going to get much better than what we see right now in 2026. I think the AI bubble is going to burst. I think long-term that's going to be good for graphics card prices, but I don't think we're going to see the impact of that pricing until at the earliest Black Friday of this year, but more than likely early next year. It's May right now. You really want to sit around for 6 months to maybe, again, save $30. My recommendation, buy your graphics card right now. I've got all the graphics cards and the deals that I'm finding right now linked down in the video description. Check those links out for current pricing and availability in your region. If you got value out of this video, please do give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. Like, did you check out our recent Q&A? We went through current PC prices for motherboards, CPUs, coolers, everything else. Should you be waiting until Amazon Prime Day or Black Friday, or should you be buying those right now? Check it out, and we'll catch you on the next one.